Welcome to my channel BBC Rare Coins. Did you know that a single penny could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars? Money bag, that's right. What looks like pocket change might just be a rare treasure hiding in plain sight. Top 1. In 1974, the United States Mint made a bold and controversial move that would end up creating one of the rarest and most valuable pennies in American history. It was a time of economic stress. Rising copper prices were threatening to make the production of 1-cent coins more expensive than their actual face value. To combat the issue, the U.S. Mint began experimenting with alternative materials for the penny. Among those experiments was the creation of a 1-cent coin struck not in copper, but in aluminum. That decision led to the birth of the now infamous 1974 aluminum penny. Roughly 1.5 million of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint as test pieces. They were never meant to be circulated. The plan was to distribute them among members of Congress for evaluation. But what started as a cost-saving solution quickly turned into a controversy. Doctors and vending machine companies pushed back. Medical experts were concerned that aluminum pennies wouldn't show up clearly on X-rays if swallowed, posing a safety risk. Others argued that machines would need to be recalibrated. The backlash was so strong that the Mint abruptly changed course. All aluminum pennies were ordered to be melted down, but not all of them were destroyed. At least a dozen 1974 aluminum pennies are believed to have survived. One was found in the collection of a former U.S. Mint employee. This particular coin would go on to create a legal firestorm. When the employee's son attempted to auction the coin, it was valued at an astonishing $69,000, possibly more. Collectors around the world were shocked. The story of a 1-cent coin, never meant to be in public hands, reaching such a high price sparked a media frenzy. Experts authenticated the coin. It was real. It was rare. And it was one of the only surviving examples. But the excitement didn't last long. Before the auction could take place, the U.S. government intervened. Officials from the Mint and the Secret Service claimed that the coin was never legally issued and therefore remained government property. It was seized, and the case became part of one of the most talked about legal battles in numismatic history. The coin was returned to the U.S. Mint, but questions still linger: how many more aluminum cents survived? Are they hidden in old collections, tucked away in forgotten coin folders or safety deposit boxes? The 1974 aluminum penny remains both a dream and a mystery. Its existence challenges the limits of legality and ownership in the world of rare coins. Its value continues to rise, not just in dollars, but in legend. If one were ever to surface again and make it to public sale without being seized, experts believe the price could go far beyond $69,000. Some whisper of a future 7-figure auction. Because when rarity, controversy, and history collide, value becomes immeasurable. A 1-cent coin made of aluminum, struck in a time of financial panic, hidden away for decades, fought over in court, and now considered one of the rarest coins in American history. Not bad for a penny. Top 2. In the vast world of coin collecting, every once in a while, a seemingly ordinary coin captures global attention, not for its looks, but for its story, its rarity, and its shocking value. Among the many legends of American coinage, one penny stands out, not for being made of gold or silver, but for being a simple 1-cent coin minted in 1978. A penny that would go on to be valued at a staggering $63,000. This is the story of the 1978 1-cent penny, the coin no one saw coming. 1978 was not a year of numismatic upheaval. By then, the Lincoln cent had been in production for nearly 7 decades. The design was familiar. The materials were standard. Copper was still being used. Nothing seemed extraordinary about that year's penny at first glance. But in the hidden corners of the minting process, mistakes can happen. Rare combinations of dies, planchets, and mint marks can create a once-in-a-generation anomaly. And that's exactly what happened with a handful of 1978 pennies. One of the most talked about examples is a 1978 Lincoln penny struck on the wrong planchet, a coin blank not intended for pennies at all. Instead of being struck on the usual copper alloy, this penny was minted on a foreign or transitional metal blank, giving it a completely different weight, tone, and color. To the untrained eye, it may have looked like a manufacturing defect or even a fake. But to experts, it was a numismatic jackpot. The coin was submitted for authentication and grading. What came back confirmed everyone's suspicions. It was a genuine 1978 US penny struck on an off-metal planchet. The level of preservation, the crispness of Lincoln's features, the clear date, and the unexpected composition created the perfect storm. This wasn't just an error coin. It was a treasure. Collectors immediately took notice. As word spread, the coin was put up for auction and sparked an intense bidding war. What started as curiosity quickly became obsession. And by the end of the auction, the hammer price reached a jaw-dropping $63,000. For a penny that cost the mint less than a cent to produce, the return was astronomical. But what makes this coin so special isn't just its metal or rarity, it's the fact that it exists at all. In a system designed to mass-produce millions of coins with mechanical precision, the appearance of a rare error like this is almost miraculous. It reminds collectors that despite the machinery, there's still room for mystery and discovery. Even more intriguing is the possibility that there may be others. Other 1978 pennies that slipped through the cracks, still out there in old jars, forgotten piggy banks, or inherited collections. Coins that look ordinary but carry with them a secret value. Not every 1978 penny is worth a fortune, but the existence of one that sold for $63,000 changes the way we look at every coin from that year. It turns every handful of change into a treasure hunt. It turns every old drawer into a mystery box. It proves that the most valuable things aren't always gold or rare diamonds. Sometimes, they're hiding in the places you least expect. Stamped with the face of Lincoln and a year long gone, the 1978 1-cent penny is more than a coin. It's a story. A symbol of how something so small can hold so much worth. And for those lucky enough to find one, it's a reminder that even in a world of millions, there's always a chance to hold history in your hand. Top 3. In the world of US coin collecting, there are coins that become legends, not because they were meant to be rare, but because a simple twist of fate, a moment in the production line, or an unnoticed error turned them into treasures. Among these unexpected giants is the 1981 1-cent penny. A coin so ordinary, it slips through fingers every day without a second glance. And yet, one rare example of this very coin shocked collectors when it surfaced, valued at an astonishing $59,000. The year 1981 marked the final full year the US Mint produced pennies using the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy before transitioning in 1982 to a predominantly zinc core. The design was the same Lincoln cent introduced in 1909. Millions upon millions were struck. But within that flood of production, something slipped through, something rare, something special. A small number of 1981 Lincoln cents were minted with an extraordinary error. One of the most valuable known examples was struck using the wrong die combination, a mismatched pairing that resulted in a penny with sharply defined features, but struck on a transitional or foreign planchet. These types of errors are incredibly rare and nearly impossible to replicate. It takes a very specific set of circumstances, the wrong blank in the feed system, the correct die at the right time, and flawless striking before the error is caught. One such 1981 penny caught the attention of experts not just because of its physical oddities, its slightly lighter weight, its unusual tone, its ultra-sharp detail, but because it had somehow survived in pristine condition for decades. Graders examined the coin and confirmed what collectors had hoped: it was real, it was rare, and it was in near-perfect condition. Not only that, it was unique. The kind of error that doesn't just add value, but launches a coin into legend. The coin was sent to auction, and from the moment it was listed, it ignited a storm of interest. Collectors, dealers, and investors from around the world followed the sale, knowing they were watching a once-in-a-generation coin. The bidding war was fierce. Offers flew past the tens of thousands. And when the gavel finally fell, the final price stood at an unbelievable $59,000 for a penny. But this wasn't just a penny, it was a rare artifact from the final chapter of the copper cent era. It represented the end of one age of American currency and the beginning of another. Its existence is a challenge to collectors, a reminder that not everything has been found, that numismatic history is still being written one coin at a time. What makes the 1981 penny even more fascinating is the possibility that others could be out there, undiscovered, sitting quietly in change drawers, forgotten in childhood coin collections, hidden in cigar boxes or old coin rolls passed down through generations. They're easy to miss. 1981 pennies are everywhere. But only a trained eye or a stroke of luck might spot that one in a million. The story of the $59,000 1981 Lincoln cent is a reminder that even in the most common of things, there can be greatness. That value isn't always obvious, and history often hides in plain sight. 1 cent, one mistake, one survivor, forever changing what we thought we knew about the coins we carry every day. The next time you pick up a penny, look closely. The next legend could be right in your hand. Top 4. In the world of US coin collecting, few coins capture the imagination like the ones that were never meant to exist. Among the millions of ordinary coins minted every year, every now and then, a mistake slips through. A quiet error, unnoticed by machines, unremarkable at first glance, until someone looks closer. That's the story of the 1983 Lincoln cent. A penny so common it fills jars and drawers across the country. Yet one rare version of this unassuming coin would go on to stun collectors with a value of $61,000. The year 1983 was part of a major transition for the US Mint. Just a year earlier, in 1982, the composition of the penny had changed from solid copper to a zinc core with a thin copper plating. It was a move driven by economics. Copper had become too expensive, and the government needed a cheaper way to make sense. This transition wasn't just a quiet change in the background. It was a significant shift that created opportunities for rare minting errors. And out of that transition came one of the most famous modern penny errors in history. In 1983, a small number of pennies were mistakenly struck on the older, heavier copper planchets. These weren't supposed to exist. All 1983 pennies were meant to be made from the new copper-plated zinc composition. But somehow, a few leftover copper blanks from 1982 ended up in the presses. The result, a 1983 penny that looks just like every other, until you weigh it. This is where things get interesting. A normal 1983 penny weighs about 2.5 grams. But the rare copper planchet version weighs 3.1 grams. It's a tiny difference, but for collectors and grading experts, it's a major red flag, a clue that something extraordinary has just been discovered. The moment this was confirmed, the 1983 copper penny instantly became one of the most sought-after coins in American history. One of these rare pennies surfaced in nearly perfect condition. Crisp details, flawless strike, untouched by wear. It was submitted to a top grading service, authenticated, and confirmed to be the real thing, a 1983 copper penny. When it hit the auction block, the numismatic world watched. Bidding opened with intensity, and collectors who knew the rarity of this coin wasted no time. By the end of the auction, it had sold for a jaw-dropping $61,000.1 cent, $61,000. What makes this coin even more legendary is its subtlety. There's nothing visually flashy about it. It doesn't shine with gold or silver. It doesn't have a special design. Its power lies in its story, the story of a mistake, of timing, of a leftover blank slipping through the system. And today, that mistake is worth more than many cars, more than some homes. It's a piece of modern American mint history that continues to inspire collectors and thrill treasure hunters. Perhaps the most exciting part is the unknown. How many of these rare 1983 copper pennies are still out there? Could they be buried in pocket change? Hidden in a shoebox? Sitting in a dusty jar of coins passed down from a grandparent? It's not just a dream, it's a real possibility. Every collector knows it. Every dealer hopes to find it. And every time someone picks up a 1983 penny, there's that brief moment of wonder. Could this be the one? The 1983 1-cent copper penny is more than a coin. It's a symbol of how something ordinary can become extraordinary. Of how the smallest error can create massive value. And how a simple piece of metal, meant to be spent and forgotten, can become a legendary treasure worth $61,000.1 year. One error. One penny that changed everything.